Akira. And then Melina Williams. It's a good night. Come on.
My friend over here, I don't know her name, but I loved her with the dress that you said her mom picked it out.
Oh, yeah.
Your mom has fabulous taste. But I was gonna do something totally different than you. You're forcing me to do this because your poem was so beautiful. The one about somebody asked you to write a prompt about the circumstances of when you were born. That was so dope. The way I was like so excited to hear how you went with that prompt, because I have a prompt. I have a poem about that in my book, and I was like, oh my gosh, I would love to hear someone else answer the same question that I answered in my poem. And so I just want to share it in honor of yours because it was so beautiful. I was born into recovery. Dim rooms that smelled of cheap coffee and the serenity prayer, chairs in a circle and surrender in the air. I was raised at a meeting. Amidst rock bottom stories and second chance dreams, I was born into Narcotics Anonymous, a path toward hope for the helpless. 12 steps closer to the beautiful aftermath of chaos. I was born into restoration, into finding the courage to change and taking moments of silence for the addict who still suffers outside these rooms. I was born into fellowship, newcomer chips and sober livings, taking inventory and understanding that life only happens one day at a time. I was born into Sunday barbecues, to the sounds of Motown music and East LA barrio slang. Growing up, birthday parties were always sober events, with guest lists that sounded more like a cell block roll call. I grew up sharing toys with the sons and daughters of ex-convicts, with hearts that bled for us, and smiles that hid behind thick mustaches and lip liner. Loving parents, with too many tattoos and mile-long rap sheets. I learned early not to judge anyone by what they used to be. My childhood taught me to look past the past, to see the perfect in the progress, and that living the part will always be more important than looking it. Thank you. So I was recently, I just want to say happy birthday, World Stage. Make some noise for World Stage and for Hiram and Kamar and everybody who keeps this machine producing all this art and all this work and putting all of this beauty out into the world. I recently got the opportunity to shoot this poem for Zoe. You guys know how Zoe Saldana, that really beautiful actress, she's so bomb. So I don't even know how this happened, but somebody contacted me and I got to do like this, she's doing like a series on mental health, and I got to make like a 1-minute video about ADHD and about my mental health and about sharing my experiences with the world. And it was so cool because that part's not cool. It was so cool, but what was terrible about my life and my attention span really ain't shit. And so when I say I have ADHD, I'm not playing. So like I booked this like money thing, and then I fucking forgot the day of, and like I forgot to ask for the day off. And obviously I couldn't tell them that, so I had to call, make up a whole story. You know you did that too. Don't be making it funny. You know you had to pull out the big guns, like, oh, I've been saving this life for man. Like you thought of it on the way home one day, and you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna use that. Like I used that one, and I was like, because this was like life or death for me, because I was like, I don't get that many opportunities, like I really wanted it, but I put it as the wrong date in my phone, and so I asked for the wrong date off. And anyways, ADHD is real. And so I got to film this poem, but it's kind of bittersweet because they asked me to take out the parts about the medication because it wasn't very positive. Oh. And it really upset me because I was like, but that's my experience. What do you? I don't understand how you're saying that you're trying to shed light on people with mental illness and living with mental illness, but you don't want to talk about the parts that are not positive, and because it's not always positive. And so when she asked me to do that, I knew I was taking a big risk, but because I'm impulsive, I answered, she asked me, would you be willing to take out these parts of the poem? And I automatically said, absolutely not. And it just came my truth the way it actually happened, then I don't want to tell it at all. And so we made adjustments, and I still got to talk about my medication. And so I still got to do the project. I was shitting bricks at that moment. I was like, man, it just came out of my mouth. It was just, So anyway, this is a poem. Sorry to take up so much time, but I just wanted to tell that story, and I just wanted to say that in order for me to get to a place like that where I get to do something that cool, I couldn't have done that without World Stage, period. Because they have given me an opportunity. They were the only people that believed in me and gave me a book, turned my little poems and whatever I was doing into something tangible that I could share with the world. And so for that, thank you. ADHD, a list of fears and confessions. I fear that my legacy will be an unfinished poem. Like the ones that fill my notebook, I do not want to look back on my life and see that it could have been so much more than it turned out to be. My life is a series of almost. I fear that I will never know greatness, that I will not be able to stay around long enough to even become good enough to be great at anything. I often feel like I do not belong. Like a concert in a library, a red dress at a funeral, I am a magnet for wide-eyed looks. I have learned that people will not always tell you when you're different is showing, but their eyes will. Brows raised in confusion, it is more polite to say you are one of a kind than to try understanding why. They will say you are unique. Claim variety is the spice of life, laugh it off and dismiss the moment because it feels too much like a turtleneck in the summertime. These compliments will always feel more like insults. I am in a perpetual state of barely getting by, of trying to catch up. Ironic that someone so full speed ahead can so easily get left behind. When people tell me I am amazing, I do not believe them. I smile, give thanks, and hope not to be discovered I am a fraud. If only they knew that my accomplishments feel a lot more like accidents, as if the universe sometimes makes mistakes in my favor, like a glitch in the solar system, a data error. Someone, somewhere, must have spelled my name wrong. I hope no one notices. The best of intentions with the worst execution, I am what happens when a brilliant idea meets a terrible mistake. My life must look a lot like the 4th of July. Upon arrival, I light the sky, bright, loud, and temporary. I am a beautiful explosion, but only for a moment. A short-lived spectacle, a pyrotechnic poet. I have always wished I were more fireplace than firework. I have a love-hate relationship with a pill bottle. I am now at 60 milligrams of Adderall a day. When I don't take it, I feel useless. When I do, the dry mouth plagues me and I'm less myself, but maybe that is a good thing. People say they see the difference, say I am more pleasant and agreeable. Sometimes I wonder if I am medicated to make everyone else's life easier. I wish my life were easier. Wish I wasn't such a problem, such a series of unfortunate events. There are only so many apologies you get until I'm sorry is no longer enough. Thank you.
Hello?
Hey.
I am always honored to be in the world stage space, from across the street to across the street. There's a history here for me, and to be published by the press is, it's a dream come true. And I really don't seek for like awards and things like that, but this is very much a something that I can tell my children one day, and hopefully they'll tell their grandchildren. I was blessed to publish my first book of poetry, Bless Your Sweet Bones, and the very first poem that I ever workshopped at the Anansi Writers Workshop was I Am. And it was birthed out of, I had an extreme fear of death. I would sit and think about death and where do you go, and it really just came to a point of it being a question of who are you? are you here for a purpose? Why are you here? And so this is where this poem came from, and so I'm going to do it tonight. When you stay awake after mama has laid her firm hand on your waiting forehead, the blood of Jesus, a covering for you, though you choose the flowered comforter as your protection from the stars and the moon and the strange sounds that confirm tomorrow is not promised and neither is tonight. A bullet from an initiating gun through a window and into your dreams. A disease that eats away all you got before you realize it's been sitting at the table. A heart stopped, leaving no clues as to why and no final goodbyes. When you lie there in a sweat, praying to go to sleep, no, it is not death for which you are afraid, but the idea that there is possibly, maybe, no God, no heavenly room waiting for you, that your body will fight and panic will be your last rush before your heart stops, and then nothing, a hole of darkness or a silent light with no reveal. I still do not know the answer to how and when you will witness it. But where I am now, I envision the blue rings around your pupils. And sometimes I catch a glimpse of your grown children in my dreams. So when you cannot sleep, pull the cover from your wet face. Release your boiling feet from the sheets to cool that small, doughy body. And ponder this instead. One night in San Luis Obispo, you will be standing on the beach sands, and something in you will say, look up. The black velvet sky will form an umbrella over you. The stars will lean in gently, a long-awaited kiss. The hairs on your skin will raise like hands in worship. The salt water will rush to the shoreline of your lids, and God will stand up in you and say, I